The town is a fully declared ghost town. Never been anywhere like it. Good morning. Today we are going to be going to the abandoned ghost town of Florence, Idaho. So while we are making the approximately 6,000 foot climb up to the Florence ghost town, I thought I'd tell you some fun facts about the history of the town and just about the area in general. So the town was settled in 1861, basically because somebody found gold dust, and it was during the gold rush, and when people found out about it, they all flocked there. And in like a year, I read, the town went from being a 50-person like tent city to a booming town of 9,000 people. And from everything that I read, this town has everything you could possibly want to be like an absolutely fantastic Western like TV show or something. Like, I really would love to see somebody make a TV show about the history of the town and like all of the people that were there and all of the shenanigans that went on. I'll attach a link for the article that I read all about the town and some of the people that were there and some of the things that happened, because it is wild. I mean, it truly is the wild, wild west. The town sits at exactly 6,083 feet. So it's even higher than Keating Ridge, which is the ridge that you can see the Seven Devils and Bear Peak Mountain from, and it's higher than Chair Point, which is right across the way with an old fire tower. We went up there a few weeks ago. The town is a fully declared ghost town, and I'm curious to see what exactly is left. I've heard mixed reviews. I know for sure there's supposed to be a cemetery and maybe some like foundation, but other than that, they basically dismantled the whole town as it was falling apart and burnt it board by board to keep warm for the winters, because the winters up here at 6,000 feet are pretty gnarly, and that's a big part of the reason why the town kind of like fell apart. And then I don't know, it's a whole long interesting story, but that's some facts about Florence as we make our way up. Luckily, we haven't had any rain recently, but the road has narrowed so much and it's just straight dirt, no more gravel or anything. And every single time I think it can't possibly get any narrower, it does. And we're driving through like an old clear cut. It was obviously clear cut quite some time ago, and everything's grown up again, but it's very dense, very narrow, very small, but the signs keep saying this way to Florence.
There's huge, huge gullies, huge things of mud that thankfully aren't very wet.
This would be a lot of fun in a side-by-side. It's definitely doable in a four-wheel drive vehicle,
It's a squeeze.
But it's a little bit, with a long bed pickup truck, we just feel a little bit too large. So this wayside has a lot of the same information on it as the first wayside that we saw, but one interesting thing that it says is that there are numerous mining claims still active in the Florence Basin, and that's something we actually learned yesterday when we went to the teeny tiny town of Warren for lunch. We met a guy there who has a mining claim of like 20 acres because he went and was able to find gold, and the state of Idaho, and I guess the federal government too, still recognizes like claims, like you can go and stake a claim on land for mining, which is like wild to think about. I never even knew that that was a thing, but you can still do it if you're somewhere in an area like this with a resource like gold or silver or whatever. It's really, really cool to think about something like that still existing today, because mining was such an integral part, and like the gold rush was such an integral part of American history, and it's still alive, just in a much smaller way. There's something just kind of eerie thinking about the fact that there used to be so many people in this area, like where we're walking, and now there's nothing, just some weathered wooden headstones that probably aren't even original, graves, and a couple of waysides, and that's it. If it weren't for those things, you'd never even know that there had ever been a town here. Once the resources dried up, there was no reason for them to be here anymore, and it kind of just disappeared. One reason the infrastructure of the original town of Florence doesn't exist, we were reading on one of the waysides, is because when they started constructing New Florence, they dismantled a bunch of the buildings to try to find gold that had fallen down through the floorboards. I don't know, I understand it because it's a resource, but at the same time, I feel like there's something in that about like human greed. I don't know, it's just really interesting. This area is interesting and the energy is odd, but I can say we've seen the ghost town of Florence. Never been anywhere like it.